Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We are here with Bekah Eljoundi, and she is going to dive into all things being super busy and trying to keep training in a good place, fueling in a good place, all that stuff. But before we dive into all that, let me just tell you a little bit about her. She is very busy, like I mentioned. So she is a certified personal trainer and a run coach. She owns her own business called Run Coach Bekah. She was a regional fitness director and master educator at Orangetheory Fitness and has taught every class you can think of. I mean, spin, core, bootcamp, cardio, kickboxing, Zumba, Orangetheory, strength training, but her biggest passion is for sure running. She has completed 22 marathons, 13 half marathons. She's a 6-time Boston marathoner. And of all of that, she's taken 7 podiums in her age group. So pretty impressive background. And then to top all that off, she does have 2 kiddos, a 5-year-old and an almost 4-year-old, and has been involved in the Women of the Year Leukemia and Lymphoma Society program, I guess, to raise money. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to let you kind of take it from here. Bekah, I'd love for you to let us know, like, did I miss anything in the intro? But also kind of like what got you into this world and this path of kind of training and coaching and all that stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm super excited. Of course, I guess you could ask any runner, but we could talk about running all day. So yes. I will try not to go off on tangents here, but yeah, I started personal training and running actually in around 2007.
Oh, wow.
And I actually have a psychology degree, which Amazing. Comes in handy when you're doing personal training.
Yes.
But yeah, I met a friend who was a runner, and I had really loved going to the gym and working out that way. But I always thought running would be like an amazing modality of fitness for me. But I just was a little too nervous to try it on my own. So I started running with her, and when we ran our first 10K, I was hooked and wanted to go straight to a half marathon. Finished my half marathon and went straight into full marathons in 2009.
Wow. Amazing. Wow. And obviously you've completed several marathons and half marathons as we mentioned there. With the coaching world, do you program your own coaching?
That's actually a good question. So I believe in trainers who also believe in being trained. So, yes. Or coaches, for example. So I take group fitness from other coaches, yeah. And I also hire coaches to coach me. And it's Amazing. Always great to have a different viewpoint on training. And, I have written my own plans, but I believe in the power of having a coach. So I have one as well.
Yes. Coaches need coaches too. I 100% believe that as well. From a nutrition perspective, I think there's just that added accountability piece there too. If you're making your own programming or, all of that stuff, from a nutrition, I could transfer this to nutrition too. But if I'm writing my own meal plan, it's very easy for me to be like, I wrote this. I could just, maybe skip this or push it another day. No one else is looking at it. But when you have someone else doing that programming for you, you have that person that's relying on you. Right. So Absolutely. I think there's a huge benefit to that. And also you learn. I think you can learn from people who are coaching you as well. So yeah, I think that's amazing. So with all this stuff that you've got going on in a day-to-day, what does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah. So typically if I want to get my run in, I will do it early in the morning. Now I
what
don't
time
have to
will we
wake up
talking?
I don't have to wake up as early, around 6 a.m. And I start my run around 6 a.m. If I don't get it in the morning, I will likely do it on my treadmill while my kids are napping. And somehow I still have a 5-year-old who still naps. So, which is pretty amazing. So I get up and if I get my workout in and then I get the kids ready for preschool, take them to school, and typically while they are in school, I do my virtual training and my programming for my running clients. And then I also have some in-person training clients as well.
Awesome.
And then I pick them up after a half day of school and get them home. And if I didn't do my run, I do them while they're napping, or I do my strength training. And then usually they sleep for a few hours, and my husband's home, and he helps a lot when he gets home, which is it's very helpful.
Good. Does your spouse, does he work like a 9 to 5? Yeah. So
he typically will leave for work at around 8 a.m. and gets home after 5.
Yeah. Wow. And with the weekends, do you try and fit in training on the weekends? Or are you with family on the weekend days, or what's that like?
Yeah. So Saturday, I'm with my running family in the morning. Typically,
Awesome.
that's a long run for me. So if I'm not in the middle of marathon training, it's usually around 8 to 10 miles.
Awesome.
And then on marathon training, in the peak of my mileage, I'm running with friends for 2 hours or more. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then I come home, and then my family has me for the rest of the weekend. And typically, my husband will go and have his golf time, and so we trade off on those responsibilities for sure.
Yes. Balancing act. I've heard that from a lot of couples that have kids. They like one gets one day of the weekend, the other gets the other day of the weekend, and gotta make it all work so you can have your own kind of little pieces. And the group running environment too is, I mean, that's a great social aspect and connection piece that many people need. Need to connect with adults as well as children, right? So need that balance.
I typically run with other moms, so it's nice to have that time together where we can talk about all the crazy things that our kids are doing.
Excellent. And how many times a week are you able to train typically?
So I usually run 4 to 5 times a week, and I lift 4 times a week. Wow. But I put those on the same day so that when I have a rest day or two, I have a full rest day, and I don't do anything on those days.
Yeah. Do you ever, I mean, how often does that plan get derailed? Like kids are sick, can't go into preschool. Like, what's that like?
Yeah. So, like I said, my husband is very supportive and he's very helpful. So if I don't get anything in all day until he's home, then he's on with the kids, and I'll take that opportunity to. I have a home gym in my garage to go in and work out and get a run in. And the way I see it is, you don't have to spend an hour strength training. You don't have to spend an hour running. If I have 20 minutes to do a strength workout, it's better than nothing. And I think consistency is more important than feeling like everything has to be perfect and you have to have all the time in the world to do your workout.
Yeah. I think that is what you just said there. I think is very important for the listeners. I have seen this many times with clients where maybe pre-kids, there's like, work gets super busy. They'll push the workout and it just doesn't happen. Then you become a parent and these little chunks of time are so critical where you could get these training sessions in and you take advantage of that 20 minutes that you have, and I think that's important. Without kids, someone could still definitely do that. But I do see there's definitely a difference with my clients who have kids and don't have kids and how they view their time. Right. So I think that is I'm glad you mentioned that. I think that's really important. Take advantage. Doesn't have to be 60-minute strength session. If you can get 15 or 20 minutes in, that's solid. Amazing.
Yeah. And my kid, I get them involved sometimes. So they it doesn't hold their attention for very long, but I will take my weights into the living room and do some exercises with them. Yeah. And they know this is a very normal part of life to work out. And so they're learning by seeing what my husband and I are doing. And it's just a normal thing that you do every day. It's your workout in. So.
That's great. That's good exposure for the kids too, to see some movement activity and focus on health. I think that's excellent. Does your husband run as well or race in marathons?
Actually, no. He's just one of those people who is genetically gifted, and he can just hop in and run a 5K as fast as me without training at all.
Yeah.
He ran his first and only half marathon with me while I was pregnant, and he ran it in under 2 hours without training.
Wow.
No training.
Yeah.
So yeah, I signed up for Chicago and I got in, and he said, maybe I'll sign up for the marathon. And I was like, who are you? Like never in a million years did I think that he would sign up for a marathon. Well, he signed up for the lottery and he got in. So now he has to start training in July.
Yeah, there you go. Are you going to program his training for him, or is he using?
I will. Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's also important too, like you mentioned, like your husband and you sound like you have a really good balance between, he knows what your passions are and your priorities are when it comes to getting that training session in. And maybe that's also a stress reliever for you and giving you the time to do that and finding that balance to allow one and another to do those things and get in that movement that increases our serotonin and dopamine and all those great things, right?
Absolutely.
That's great. So with kind of the weekly span focus thing, I of course have to ask nutrition questions. So do you kind of make meals on the fly? Are you a meal prepper? Do you use meal delivery services? Like what's kind of your normal kind of go-to on a weekly basis?
Yeah, so I am not great at meal prepping, and I'm very lucky that my husband likes to cook.
Amazing.
Yeah, so, but we do, because we're busy and he gets home later, we do get dinner delivery, but we do cook it. So the HelloFresh delivery, and you can kind of choose what you like based on that. And, you know, when I'm in the peak of my training and I need more carbohydrates, I do a lot of the pastas, and it makes it easy so we don't have to really think about what do we need to pick up from the grocery store, and it tells you exactly what to do and how to do it, which is great.
Perfect.
So yeah, I mean, on the go, I'm not great. It would be great to have food prep because I'm on the go. But I do a lot of protein smoothies, throw a bunch of vegetables in there and fruits and protein, and good to go.
Yes. Smoothies are your friend. I think those are one of the easiest, ways to go. Cause you can just load up stuff in there and you don't have to sit down and take the time to maybe eat all of it. And you can bring it with you wherever you're going, to school pickup, or, or if it's a post training session, you got to run somewhere. Like it's easy to get that stuff going, and it can be simple, or it can be, you could throw some exciting things in there if you want to, and if you have the time. But I think that is a great go-to. We love freezer veggies and stuff like that, and they'll last, and you don't have to have fresh fruits and veggies. The freezer stuff can be a good go-to. What's your go-to smoothie combo right now? You said veggies and some protein.
Yeah, so I use a vanilla vegan protein, and and then I'll throw in chia seeds and a banana, and whatever frozen fruit that we have. And we do freeze the spinach bag. So we do a lot of spinach, and trying to think of what else we would put in there. We have Juice Plus, so to get our kids to eat vegetables, we open up the capsules and we just dump all the fruits and vegetables in, along with the fruits and vegetables that they're putting in the smoothie. But yeah, I mean, I think banana and vanilla just make such a great combination.
Yes. Awesome. And with your meal delivery stuff, are your kids eating those foods as well, or do you find they're picky eaters and you have to cook separate meals? Or
they go through phases. My daughter right now, she wants to eat all the time, which is great. My son, he could kind of go all day and not eat anything, and one day, and then the next day he wants to eat, but he is addicted to smoothies. So that's a really easy way to get breakfast in his tummy before he goes to school.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It always makes things easier for sure if they're eating similar things to you, right? And you're not maybe surrounded by, I don't know, Annie's cheddar bunnies and all processed snacks and stuff can be hard. I know for a lot of moms, they end up snacking on those kind of things too, or finishing up the kid's plate or that kind of stuff. So it's easy when they eat the stuff you eat. That's great. And let's see. So you said most of your training sessions happen in the morning. Do you head straight out the door, or do you have a quick go-to fueling source that you use before you train?
Yeah. So I'm the type of person where I'm starving when I wake up in the morning. And so I've always eaten before I work out. So I will typically have something like a Lara bar to get the carbohydrates in before a run, or if it's going to be a longer workout or a longer run, I'll have the Kodiak protein oatmeal.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just, like I said, I'm not a big cook, so it's super easy to just throw some water in there, heat it up, and have it before I leave.
Yeah. Those are awesome options. I have another client who was just telling me about the Kodiak. I think they're like Kodiak freezer toaster waffles. And
oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. And when I pulled up the nutrition information on them, I was like, these are great. The carb to protein ratios and everything. So yeah, those are
I'm
quick.
glad my kids eat the pancakes.
Yeah. They're a great ratio. And I have some clients who actually use them before races on race morning, because they can travel with them a little bit easier, or they can find them in many grocery stores sometimes. But yeah, that's a great go-to. The Lara bars are awesome. Super simple ingredients list. I love that. Get a little combination of your fruit and your nuts and fats in there. That is excellent. And then you say your go-to is the smoothie for your recovery typically.
Yeah, I will typically have a smoothie. I'm just not creative when it comes to making something on the fly unless it's a smoothie.
Yes. Yeah. That's great. And I think something I would love to dive into with you is, let's see, it sounds like the meal delivery is like a super handy thing. I think that's a super easy go-to, and there's so many options out there for meal delivery. So whether you, like you said, you have to cook it and put it together, right? They do all the grocery shopping and portioning and all that stuff for you, which is great. And then there's options too, where it's like already made and all you have to do is put it in the microwave. So depending on how busy somebody is, they can choose an option that's, works best for them. Some people maybe love to cook. Some people maybe don't love to cook. So they can find some variations there. And so with that, you get to choose a variety, which is also great with the HelloFresh too. So you can choose different options, which is always a good go-to. And then let's see, I would love to dive into a little bit about like what pregnancy too was like running, or were you running during pregnancy and prior to pregnancy? What was that like?
Yeah, so I ran through both pregnancies until probably toward the middle of the third trimester.
Wow.
I had really big babies. And I'm 5'2", and I'm just a small framed person. So it really did start to take a toll on my hips and my pelvis and everything like that. I got regular chiropractic and physical therapy treatment while I was training. And I would say that if anybody wants to or is able to run through their pregnancies, getting treatment is key, and to making sure that your body is able to and prepared to run through that, because of all the hormonal changes that you're going through. Everything is a lot more lax and you're more likely to get injured. I of course it's not comfortable all the time while you're running when you're pregnant, but it really helps to continue that fitness while you're in pregnancy if you're able to.
Yeah. Did you have any issues like when you were running through pregnancy or struggle with anything?
With my son, my son was 9 pounds 5 ounces when he was born.
Goodness.
So I had a lot of pelvic pain. I had pubic symphysis dysfunction. You get just a lot of pain in your pelvis. And so, chiropractic helps up to a certain point. Yeah. And then at a certain point, in my third trimester, I was ready to just kind of give that up. And that can be pretty painful even when you're just walking. So there's a lot of activities that you can't do with the pubic symphysis dysfunction. So, and then there's also pain after you have your baby. So it's just, I'd say knowing your body well enough to know when to stop, or if you can keep running. Yeah.
Did you mentioned the PT stuff, but did you have any food cravings or food maybe dislikes that popped up during pregnancy at all?
Yeah. It's so strange what hormones do to you. So my husband and I were vegan until we got pregnant, or until I
Wow.
got pregnant with my son. And then all I wanted was chicken, like
wow.
Chick-fil-A, like
Yeah.
not good chicken, like fried chicken.
Yeah.
And I think like with both pregnancies, I craved salty food.
Mm-hmm.
And I just craved food all the time. I didn't have any weird food aversion. So
Yeah. Yeah. Did you switch back to vegan, or did you indulge on the Chick-fil-A while you were pregnant?
Yeah. So we didn't switch back, but we tried to do a diet that's mostly vegan or vegetarian. But we do have meat, at least 3 times a week. So
Awesome. Yeah. And let's see, with the pregnancy, kind of getting into that, did you, with your running at the time prior to getting pregnant, was there anything like mentally that went on where you like, did you feel slower? Were you like ever kind of in a place that you're kind of like potentially almost like a little bummed out, like on your fitness or where it was going? Or was it all kind of like, was it smooth and happy sailing, or share that experience with us?
I think that with both pregnancies, while I was pregnant, I was just very grateful to be in that position when I know that there are so many women who can't.
Yeah.
So I was also very gracious with myself, with my eating, with my body in general. It's the after, the postpartum journey that can tend to be tough for people, and it was definitely tough for me. It's you typically want things right away, and your body just went through some major changes. Totally. And so taking the time to let your body heal and giving yourself some grace. And I believe there's no such thing as bouncing back. I hate when people say that, because your body is just different. Once you have kids, your body is different, and that's your new body, and that's totally okay. So I think just giving yourself grace is a huge deal. And I have a very good friend who just went through that. She's a fast runner, a marathoner, and she had a hyperemesis, so she couldn't work out her entire pregnancy.
Oh my goodness.
She was very, very sick. And she would constantly see other pregnant women on social media working out and posting how fast they were. And I told her, I was like, you need to just stay away from it. Everybody's different. Some women can work out, some women can't. Don't make yourself feel bad, because naturally you're gonna have a decrease in fitness after not working out for 9 months. But you will get it back. It's just consistency and patience.
Yeah. I think that can be a hard mental struggle for many females, and especially with social media, like you mentioned, there's a lot of, whether it's edited photos or, just sharing kind of the happy, joyful stuff, and not maybe the other side of the coin, and like some of the truth behind a lot of that stuff can be hard. But I think, like you're saying, there's a big mindset piece around that. And you mentioned you had a psychology background too. I think going into it, and like you're saying, giving your body grace. And I think that can be hard for a lot of women. And I think many times too, we run into clients where they got into running specifically because they wanted to lose weight. And then, you get pregnant, like you're saying, the body changes, and it's hard. They want the family, but it's hard for them to accept and still love their body. And I think that's a really challenging process for many women. And like you're saying, post pregnancy, to get back into that. Some people maybe rush it too soon, or want to just jump the gun and get back and going, or wondering why they can't get to where they want to be as quickly. And I think there's, like you're saying, you got to be patient with yourself. Did you ever hear any kind of odd recommendations from doctors to maybe not train, or was your doctor, totally comfortable with that?
Yeah. So I had midwives, and I had natural labor and delivery.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Luckily, I wasn't in. I mean, I think the medical field is amazing, and some women really need that for their delivery. For me, because I didn't have any medication, I didn't have any surgeries. I didn't even have an IV. So like, they send you home 4 hours after you give birth. I think more than anything, it was just exhausting to just go home after being in labor. But so the midwives, and even, I mean, I have an OB now that I see, and they all say now I feel like they're a lot more flexible. And they told me, you know, you just pay attention to your body. If something hurts, don't run. You know, if you feel like you're ready, you can start running. And you know, it took me, after I gave birth to my daughter, my first, it took me a little bit longer to get back to running. But after my son, I started about 4 weeks after I had him, and I started training for my race. And I just took it easy, and I took it slow, and I did a lot of pelvic floor strength training. And that, I mean, you can't just jump back into running that quickly without doing the other things that you're supposed to be doing. So.
Yes. Did you learn the pelvic floor stuff from your PT or in your education background, or?
I just do a lot of research. My PTs don't specialize in pelvic floor therapy. Unfortunately, the insurance companies don't cover pelvic floor therapists. It's crazy. Even women who have C-sections, they just expect you to just, after a major surgery, just like get back into life.
Wow.
So I did a lot of research on it, watched a lot of physical therapists on YouTube, and I follow a really great resource. You know Doc Genfit on Instagram?
I don't think so, but
she's one
I'll
of
check
my
her out.
favorites. She's a physical therapist, and she says things in ways that she educates you in ways that it's easy to understand.
Amazing.
And she's really big on pelvic floor and working on your deep pelvic core muscles before you start doing ab work and crunches.
Yeah.
A lot of women will have a diastasis and after pregnancy, and among all of the other things that happen with a weak pelvic floor.
Totally. And some of the signs of a weak pelvic floor, I mean, I've heard women say if they're jumping rope or they're running, they pee a little. And that can be fixed with pelvic floor work. Are there any other things that someone would notice with a weak pelvic floor that you know of?
I think sometimes people can feel pressure or difficulty going to the bathroom. So I think there's two ways it can go. You can have a very tight pelvic floor or a weak pelvic floor. I think so. I mean, I'm a huge believer in, if you have some major pelvic floor issues, you should probably go see a PT that specializes in that.
Yeah.
And but there are few and far between. I've only seen two in my hometown where I live. But just doing the diaphragm breathing, like things like that can really make a difference.
Yeah. Amazing. I had a friend, she has a 1-year-old now, but I believe she somehow was able to get, I think she started her pelvic floor PT while she was pregnant. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. And she was like raving about how like much it paid off, like post pregnancy and everything like that. And I think she still obviously kept it up post pregnancy, but yeah, she went right into that because there has been a lot more talk about that, like you're saying. And I think it's a conversation that maybe more women need to be aware of, and that it's, not necessarily normal to pee when you're jumping rope or running.
Exactly. So, that's the thing, is that women don't understand. They think because it's common that it's normal.
Yeah. Right.
But it's not normal.
Yeah.
That should be fixed.
Yeah, definitely. And then you mentioned kind of you were able to get back to running. You said 4 weeks after. What was, if you remember, like I think you said that was almost 4 years ago now with your second kid. What was like training and like at that time? Like, were you getting back into work? Was your husband able to help with the newborn? And then you have a 1-year-old or so at that time. Like, what was that like from a training and energy balancing perspective?
Yeah. So I think I had about 2 months of maternity leave. I was working at another company then. And when I went back, I was very part-time with my hours, but I was working at 5 a.m. So I'd go into work at 4:30.
Wow.
So the training had to be for for later in the day. Luckily, we lived close to family, and we had a lot of help. We still have a lot of help.
Yeah.
With my in-laws, and my mother lives close by. So it's really true what they say, it takes a village. And I know that there are women or couples that don't have that luxury to do that. But I think there are plenty of gyms where they have childcare, and that's a great option for people that don't have that help from family. Just being able to, if you need to run on the treadmill, it's still running, it's still training. So
yeah, I think that's a good point there. And if you have the means to have, like you're saying, your own home gym, or maybe where you live has a gym, if you can figure something out there to still maintain some fitness, or kiddo in the stroller jogger, or that whole setup can be a situation as well.
I did lots of double jogger runs.
Yes.
With some big babies.
Yeah.
It's a good workout.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully not too many hills around you, but pushing
We've got a lot of greenways that we can use with the jogger.
Perfect. Yeah. One of my friends, I remember she was telling me when I think she had a C-section, and her work, had her going back to, I think she went back to work after 2 months. Like, it was like they needed her back, and she had to go back full time. And I remember her telling me, like, at the time she couldn't get, like, there was a wait list for childcare, and she was like, one day of the week, her kid was like with one friend who had another. They just like, she was the Monday through Friday. I think she was with a different like friend with a kid or something like that. And they just had this whole like cycle going, which now that I see her kiddo now is actually really cool, because she got to meet and stay like with so many different people during the week that she's so social and so friendly.
That's awesome.
It's pretty incredible. But yeah, you get it done, and you make it work, right? In a way that you can get the most bang for your buck. So let's see, we had a question from one of our listeners, which I think we kind of dove into, which at @serial_runner said, what does your training and nutrition look like with balancing a family? And I think we dove into quite a bit of that there. Got 4 to 5 days a week of training. You combine that strength in the run, and then meal deliveries are helpful for sure, right? To get the job done. And then let's see, we touched on pregnancy and running pre and post. And then I wanted to dive into a little bit as well about like, what are your upcoming goals right now? Do you have any races coming up on the calendar?
Yeah, I'm running in October. I'm running the Chicago Marathon.
Awesome.
And that'll be my first time running Chicago, and my husband's first.
Amazing.
So hopefully we'll be able to stick together for that. And then in November, I'm a Charlotte Marathon ambassador, so I run at least one of their distances every year. Typically the half marathon. So in November, I'm running the Charlotte half marathon.
Amazing. Awesome. And do you have goal times for those, or are they more like, are you going at a fun run approach, or?
Yeah. I want to run Chicago for my husband. So whatever he's able to do or wants to run, I will try and stick with him. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
And then for Charlotte, I just want to have fun.
Yeah. Good. It's always good to have
a great race. Yeah. I had a great race in October, so I'm good or not October, I'm sorry, April.
Yeah.
So I'm good for the year until next year.
Amazing. And with their kiddos, you said they do half day at school right now?
Yeah, they do 3 half days in preschool. Actually, my daughter graduates from preschool tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
So we're headed back home tonight, and then they'll be out of school for the summer starting next week.
Yeah. Does the summer schedule, well, maybe now is a little different, but does the summer schedule change much of how that affects your training, or?
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I think the summer is, if you live in the South, the summer can be pretty tricky anyway. Once it gets to be past 9:30 in the morning, it gets very hot, humid, sunny. So the early mornings are definitely a must.
Yeah.
To get your training in, and my husband and I will have to start training, marathon training in beginning of July. So we'll just have to be creative with the schedule for that.
Yeah.
My kids have a couple half day summer camp, but I'm going to have them a lot more now during the summertime. So,
totally.
So yeah, it's going to be definitely a shift in the schedule.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think being flexible is key. And if you need to do your strength workout in the living room with your kids there, you got to get it done. So
if you guys are both training, like you said, in July, do you trying to train early in the morning while it's still cool? Do you trade off? Like one is home with the kiddo while the other one goes and runs out and then you switch, or are you guys inside on the treadmill or what?
My husband is not a big early morning person. I think he would rather run in 100-degree temperature than to wake up and run at 5 a.m. So he also, we lived in Miami and he loves the heat. So I think he's less worried about running in the heat. So I think he'll likely do some evening runs. And then I'd love to work it out to where we can do our long run together on the weekend. And, have our kids stay with his parents one night a week or something like that.
Amazing. Yeah. That definitely does take a village, right? So I think that's a big point of it here. This was awesome. I think it's definitely a good perspective. As before we started hitting record, I told Bekah that we've never interviewed someone and with this like focus of conversation, right? Is like diving into like, what is it like, being a mom and working and training and trying to go for these, races and stuff like that. So I think this is really helpful to kind of like dive into that and share your story. So I think this is much appreciated. Thank you so much. And let's see, where can people find you for coaching or talking about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, fundraising and all that stuff? Where should they find you?
Yeah, so I have a link that I can share for my fundraising campaign for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. That campaign ends June 4th. Okay. So we're coming up on the tail end of that. But it's an amazing cause. They do the majority of funding for blood cancer research and treatments, as well as their goal is to donate $150 million towards strictly pediatric cancer research, which most medical treatments for cancer are geared toward adults, and then they try and scale it down for children. So so that's one of the big parts of why I'm doing this campaign. So yeah, I will add that link, and then my website is runcoachbekah.com, but I also have Instagram, same thing, runcoachbekah, and I will respond to either one of my website or Instagram.
Perfect. Well, we will include those links in the show notes for anybody who's listening so they can connect with Bekah and help her with her fundraising or get some coaching tips. That will be wonderful. And then for all other stuff, they can always follow you on social, I'm sure. And this has been amazing. And thank you for sharing this with us. And I'm sure the audience has gained some nuggets, right? Rely on the meal delivery for sure as a quick tip, and don't be afraid to get some coaching too when needed. I think the coaching piece was big there, just in the sense of like, if somebody already has a plan for you too, you don't have to build it, right? It's like already ready. That's the other helpful piece about it. You just pick it up and look at it and you go with it. You know what the day's got planned. So I think that's helpful.
And it's nice to have somebody to like, tell, hey, I just crushed that 6-mile workout you gave me. Like, it's nice to have that, because people outside of the running field, they don't care. They don't want to hear about you talking about your marathoning and running. And but when your coach is like writing this for you, it's nice to feel that little bit of somebody's proud of me. I finished it. So definitely.
Yeah, that connection and accountability piece is definitely helpful. Well, thank you again, and we'll include those links for everybody listening, and we will speak with you soon, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.